All right, this month marks the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Riots that sparked the LGBT civil rights movement.
Here's a quick look at what happened on June 28, 1969, at a New York City bar widely regarded as a safe haven for the gay community.
9 police officers entered the Stonewall Inn in a raid. The patrons were fed up. As the police roughly tried to arrest bartenders and customers, many resisted. Outside the bar, people in the hundreds began rioting. They threw bottles at the police and pushed through the barricades. The police officers retreated from the crowd and locked themselves inside the Stonewall Inn. Rioters responded by setting the bar on fire. Police reinforcement arrived. Eventually, the police were able to get the crowd to disperse, but it didn't last long.
The riots involving thousands of people continued until July 1st. Joining us now is public health psychologist Dr. Perry Halkitis. He is the author of the new book, Out in Time, The Public Lives of Gay Men from Stonewall to the Queer Generation. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you. So in the book, you go into depth about what you call a generation gap among gay men. Why is it so important for them to know the history of their community? And what is the biggest misconception? And what do you mean by that generation gap?
Well, I think that any group needs to know their history. And for a long time here in the United States, we've told history from one perspective. For LGBTQ people, we have not begun to tell our history. And so this book is an attempt to begin to document that. And for younger folks, folks in their 20s, where 1969 seems, many years ago that they don't remember, tapping into the resilience and the power of that group of people in 1969 gives an impetus to a new generation to continue to work hard for their rights.
Talking about modern times now, substance abuse, toxic masculinity, you said it's having a big impact on the gay community.
They absolutely do. So we continue to see substance use and masculinity issues affecting the gay community at large, very similar like they're affecting the straight community. The substance use issues I've been studying for some 20 years in the gay community, and I understand it as a reality for people who are growing up in a society where they're marginalized, where they're oppressed, where they're made to feel like others. And as a result of that, use of substances is a way to sort of ameliorate those feelings. At the same time, for gay men, the idea of being a man and being masculine is something that we grapple with. And we grapple with because society tells us we can't be men because we're gay. And so this toxic masculinity that we see in society at large is something that gay men also take on and impose on each other. And that's hugely problematic in terms of the health of the population at large.
The Stonewall Riots happened 1 year after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Many assumed at the time the gay rights movement was racially inclusive. So tell us about racism among the gay population today.
I often say to my students, I often say to my colleagues, why would we think that the gay community is any different from society at large in terms of its racism? And so we continue to see within the gay community at large this objectification that goes on along race, this segregation that goes on along lines of race. And what has for too long been the centerpiece and the model for the gay community is the white, over-chiseled, hyper-masculine man. And we need to debunk that and recognize that, the brown and the black stripe and the rainbow flag are just as important as every other part of the rainbow.
Gay Pride weekend coming up in West Hollywood. It's right around the corner. What do you want people to get out of that?
What I want people to know that is absolutely, it's fine, it's a time for celebration, but that's just one image of gay life in the United States. And number two, what I want people to remember is that we live in a moment in our time where the rights of LGBTQ people are being chipped away by a government that says it wants to protect the rights of LGBTQ people, but in fact is doing nothing but undermining them. So it's time not only to celebrate, but to stand up and demand our rights like we did 50 years ago at the Stonewall Inn.
Dr. Perry Halkitis is an author, psychologist, dean, and professor at the School of Public Health at Rutgers University. For more information about his book, Out in Time, you can go to his website and follow him on social media. Thank you for being here.